All right, welcome back to Indian Trace. I would have to say, unless you're a truck driver, many of us have a little bit of downtime, and so I wanted to show you just one more compartment out of my display, and the sun was perfect and the light was perfect to highlight some quartz. Tell you a little bit about the site, maybe the find. Good news coming out every single day. Don't fret, don't worry, don't have anxiety. It's going to get sorted out. One thing is for sure, God is faithful. Some of you have made it clear that where you live, from here to California, and I can't start naming the different states, you don't have a whole lot of quartz. Or any quartz, some of you. But here in eastern central North Carolina, as well as my friend West, of course he goes by Ridge Raider, we've got quartz. And they were masters at napping the quartz. So let's take a look at that. First I want to start off with a real big point from the easement. I'm not going to hold them all up because no doubt about it, they are all translucent. Now, some of the quartz, it all sort of flows with the same feel. That's why I keep it in the same box. Many different styles, probably a whole handful of different time periods in some of this quartz. But if it has a similar size and feel, it earns a place in the same display or same frame. And I'm not against frames at all. I might go ahead and set up some frames. I mean, I got a little time off. I got a bunch of frames. Look at the inside of this point, though. They did grind quartz, often on the inside of the notches. Often they did. That's a nice big piece of quartz. They did a great job on that. Here's a piece from Site 4. Marl Mountain. This is from Site 4 as well. My top quartz, my display quartz. I've got a bunch of quartz. Wouldn't say too much. I try to keep a balance on it, as you all know. Won't get into that right now, but I guess I got a modest amount. I mean, you have to. I mean, if it's around here and that's what you collect, that's what you got, you know. If we went out there and we talked to Great Basin Man, he'd have a bunch of obsidian. Probably black quartz, right? I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. Sure looks like black quartz to me, but it looks better. It looks much better. Looks like pure. This quartz, as you can see, look at the variations in it. Great point right here from Site 4. I do. I put them in the same place based on how they feel. If they have a certain feel and I love it, then I know just where they go. And I have maybe only about 4 or 5 bins, 4 or 5 little sections that I'll keep my top quartz in. Here's a point from Site 3. I could say they're all my favorites. If they're in my displays, especially on my top shelf, they're my favorites. For those of you new out there, this isn't the evidence of 30 years collecting or whatever. I've only been collecting about 8 years, 9 years, going on 9 years, and this is going to be a crazy season for everybody in the country. But as I mentioned, there's good news out today. There's another piece from Site 4, similar site. Now, come to think of it, so dry that day. Some of these points, I mean, I can remember distinctly. They were like the only thing I found that day. I remember. But if you found a day maker, you know, you might as well just pack it in and go home. Don't need to stay. You always stay and you think, yeah, I'm going to find some more. I'm going to find. Sometimes you do. But not with me. Not always. That's a great piece. Just worked every square inch. They just really made the courts work. What was I sharing? Yeah. Our president had some great announcements for some great proactive research that's been going on with this virus. And I was sharing with, I forgot who, I think it was my family, that he wasn't about to approach the problem that we're having with this virus in any manner that was close to the way we approached the swine flu, which managed to steal the lives of 18,000 people, which I don't think all had to die. If we put our energies into it, and our most intelligent people, and chemists, and people who dealt every day with infectious disease and stuff, like the team that our president has assembled now. We didn't have the same team then, and tons of people died. Now, swine flu was bad, but this isn't any steeper. This isn't any worse at all. I'm getting all bagged up here. So, anyway, good news is coming. It's easy to get bad news. Just turn on anything on the MSNBC and you'll have bad news, as we all know that. Look at this piece. Love this piece. Site 5 piece. Sort of like crystal mixed in with that dirty type of quartz. It's great stuff. So we're going to relax and do some display videos, pass the time. I'm not an isolationist, I could care less. I've been out, I've been around. I went out today to Site 4 way outside and didn't find a whole lot. It's not ready. I guess we could use some water as always, and I have some sites coming up and the spring's going and they're trying to push the agriculture forward with all this craziness in the country. It's a great point from Site 5. This will really be something that the quartz lovers can get into. Just take a little museum time. The Indian Trace Museum, right? I do these every once in a while. When I'm not finding, right? Or when I know everybody's going to have to take time out and maybe be at home a little more than they are. A little more often than they are. But I put a really great political interest link up there. You know, if you want to know a man, just listen to him talk for a little while and listen. Put all your bias aside and just listen to the man. On top of that, if you really want to know a person, just listen to them for a longer amount of time. And they'll give themselves up. In the multitude of words, they're going to give themselves up who they really are. So the president has not lacked in articulating himself and answering questions and what have you. So I would challenge you. It's a short 4-minute video. Just came out. Reporter asked the president a certain question that dealt with our relationship with China. And, you know, it's great. You get a really strong businessman in the office. And he actually just happens to turn out to be a really great diplomat. There's lots of things he's accomplishing with many nations who we haven't even decided to have a relationship with for decades and decades, such as North Korea, China, Saudi Arabia. You can go on. And conceding to nations that are evil and hurtful to their people and giving them things is not a relationship. Hoping that they'll act better, but I doubt administrations that conceded and gave them a bunch of things and gave them a bunch of your money and my money, and I don't want to get into that, were hoping that they would act better. I don't think that they were. Other plans. The untold plans of mice and men, right? It's a nice point from Site 4. Just great quartz. You know, and it's not, it's a big find when you find a really great piece of quartz. It's around here, and it's an indigenous material that they used. A great group, right? This middle piece from the easement. These two right here were found pretty much in the exact same spot. Look at this piece. It's nap time around my house, so it's all quiet. Even the dogs, plural, are taking naps. Cats, plural, are taking naps. They're about to drive me crazy, all these pets in the house. Pets are easy, though, if you know how to take it easy and let go of the care. The relief strike on the back of that quartz. I guess bottom line is this stuff all accomplished exactly what they needed it to. So, as far as I've seen, and we'll see some other displays, what have you, some other quartz, some other rhyolite, that's the majority around here. In my displays, if I do a little display series like I'm doing, it's as good as it gets around here. So that's all I can do. And hope you enjoyed a nice close-up, and that's as close as I can get you to them. I'd let you check them out and handle them if you were here, but as always, I hope you guys find out there, and that right there, that's Indian Trace.